Hello, welcome to Owl Post number 9. I am set up inside today. I had set up last night out on the deck, but it did not work out. So we are set up inside today. I'm not sure if you can hear the rain pouring outside my window, but it's really nice. Okay, let's get settled in. This is an ASMR style podcast, which means I will be softly spoken to whispering at some points. I will be intentionally handling the items that are in my hands in order to enhance the sound experience you have. This podcast is also very good when you listen with headphones. I have been savoring this Christmas candle, and it is just past the halfway point. This actually sounds quite rain-like. To me, at least. Today I'm going to have some common room tea. Curiosity comes from a shop in Toronto, the Curiosa Society, and it is one of our favorite Christmas treats stores that we mail order, online shop with. I have my Sisters United travel mug, which is a wonderful foundation created by Candace English of the Father's Daughter Fibers, and she supports young Indigenous women in many ways. Actually, she supports all Indigenous women regardless of age, but she does have a scholarship program that students may apply for. But Sisters United also gives to other programs and needs that Indigenous women might have. That's Sisters United. our delicious snack today. I have some chocolate frog. Which is another Christmas item that I've been savoring and somewhat harboring like there was a union strike in magical chocolate shops. All right, let's get to some knitting. Espresso Patronum. This sweet little bag was sewn by So Crazy Crafter on Etsy. Now, I think I mentioned last time that one of my summer sock camp goals was going to be casting on socks in tandem. Now, I have not had much. Well, it was successful. I just didn't enjoy it. Knitting socks in Magic Loop. And a lot of people seem to knit socks 2 at a time on Magic Loop needles without any problem. I did not enjoy the yarn management of having various strings to work with, and so that is fine. It wasn't for me. My daughter Eden knits beautiful Magic Loop socks and has no problem with that technique. She made these sweet little hand-painted stitch markers. This one is a quilt with a book and coffee and pastry on it. Very sweet. This one is a field with 2 little sheep. So I think last week I maybe had the 2 toes cast on, and then over the next couple of days I knit the length of the feet for my feet, and I have now begun a Fleagle heel on this first sock, which I am going to reserve opinion for until I am finished the socks. I am still on the increases of the heel, and therefore it looks a little strange. I really am not sure where this heel is headed, so I guess I'll just have to wait and see. As you can see, there is a gusset line forming, so something's happening. I really love these socks and how the texture is working up. this yarn is by Wild in the Woods. It is her fingering weight folklore base. It is 100% Canadian wool, and I am knitting these on 2.5 millimeter 9-inch circulars. I have a little lavender sachet. Which makes my project smell beautiful. I have my 2 cakes. I guess they're cupcakes at this point because they're only 50 grams each. Tucked away. I also have a pen which I am using to keep track of my increases on the heel. Now, if you've seen another episode, you've probably seen my knitting notebook. I keep a monthly calendar, and then I create project pages for my projects. This page is for my Tuku honey socks, which I have not created yet, but I have made note that that is what is going on this page. And I have the Fleegle heel repeats written with little boxes so that I can just cross them off as I complete the repeats. It helps me to keep track without having a clicker counter. Is very, very hot still. So those received a lot of attention this week. In this bag by Garlene of the Kitchen Sink Shop, I have my Radari sweater. Last week, I had only just completed the base of the sweater where the first colorwork chart is and the little bit of ribbing and rolled cuff is. And once I completed my neon plain vanilla socks, which I just realized right now I gave away last night. Yesterday afternoon I gave them to someone, which I'm happy to do. I just don't have them completed to show you. Okay, anyways, the Radari. I've just started working up the body, so now I am going to be knitting the full length of the body before casting on one of the arms. This is Let Lopi, which I order from Alafas Lopi online, which sells Icelandic wool products from Istex. I had just spliced on Hank number 2, which is why that little center pole extra bit is there, because it's always tricky to find the center pole, but I prefer to use them. A new cast on that I have is in this little tote from Alex Collins. She is an English sewist who has a wonderful online shop called Alex Collins Designs. So, sticking with my 2 at a time tandem knitting experiment, I cast these on double pointed needles. It is a yarn by Biscuit Yarns. Écharpe du sorcier griffon. My youngest is a Gryffindor, and these socks are for him for Christmas. I gathered some sock knitting goodies in one of my the stash video that I did. So I am going to use these 2 Christmassy looking DPN cozies to keep the socks on the DPNs, and that the needles will not slip out while I have them in the project bag. The knitting cinches in between the snaps, and the snaps hold the needles in the case. As the sock grows, it tends to hang down out of that section. I am using 3mm US 2.5 DPNs for this project. This is a DK weight yarn. So I had to have a look at my 52 Weeks of Socks book and find a DK weight sock that I could mirror the information from as to how many stitches to cast on. So according to the book, I was knitting an adult large with 56 stitches. And hoping that'll work out. I'm just going to knit a straight up vanilla sock because it is a self-striping yarn and will do all the work for me. So, since I have been somewhat sock obsessed lately, I grabbed some of my sock knitting tools and items to show you and discuss. If you have never knit socks or are a new sock knitter, then possibly this information might be helpful for you. Or maybe you've just never seen some of these tools. These sock blockers are done by Burning Impressions out of 150 Mile House, BC in Canada. These are called boomerangs. And what is very special about these is, should you slide your sock on with this end, you'll get a small foot. Should you slide the sock on with this end into the toe, it will block a medium length foot. The cutout images in the sock help airflow and for the sock to be able to dry well. I haven't had any issue with these sock blockers. I have enjoyed them so much, and I tend to block socks if they are gifts or if they are a little misshapen from continuous wearing and washing. I generally wear socks immediately without blocking them if they are for myself, because I'm very excited to wear them. This is a sock ruler. This one comes from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers booth, and it is made by Katrinkles in America. This ruler allows me to knit socks in standard US women's or men's shoe sizes, as well as standard European sizes. If I know the size of shoe my recipient wears, then I can use this guide to know what the full length of the foot of the sock should be, with the 1/2 inch ease that they recommend, and leaving 2.5 to 2 inch room for the toe or heel to be knit on the base of the foot, depending on what pattern I'm knitting. Some heels, like an afterthought heel, I know take me 2¼ inches to knit. Therefore, I am careful when knitting a toe-up sock to knit the toe and knit the foot, leaving 2¼ inches left on the base of the foot at that 1/2 inch ease mark. For instance, a women's size 7, I'm going to take off 1/2 inch. Then I know I want my final knitted sock to be 8¾ inches total in length. And that I'm going to be knitting the foot until 6½ inches before starting the toe decreases, or the toe knitting section. I have a few of these needle gauges, and I tend to leave them in sock knitting bags because often when you're dealing with 9-inch circulars or DPNs, they are such a small gauge needle, and it can be tricky to read the laser engraved numbers and letters on the side of a 2.5 0.25 millimeter high needle space. These are the needle cozies, and these can be used for magic loop method as well as DPNs. Those don't make very loud noises, do they? In here I have a number of double pointed needle sets in metal and wood, as well as various 9-inch circular needles for knitting socks on. There are Haya Haya Sharp, regular Haya Haya, and Chaogu red lace needles. Oh, there is a wood 9-inch DPN. I do not often use wood needles because I tend to have a tight tension and therefore easily destroy the tips of wooden needles after 1 to 2 projects. Well, maybe destroy is a strong word. But they certainly get some very generous dents. In my butterbeer tin, are teeny tiny needle stoppers. There is a hole in the base that allows you to slip this rubber stopper onto the end of a needle, therefore ensuring your stitches will not come off the needle. Oh, that was loud. Have you any dreams you'd like to sell? This bag came from a Fleetwood Mac themed yarn club. Some more DPNs. Sock needles that are somewhat of a hybrid. These are called flexi flips, and they are similar in style to knitting magic loop without the long cord, but also similar in style to knitting like double pointed needles. You just continuously are replacing the front needle as you turn your work and keep, well, front, back, and go around and around. I quite like flexi flips. They are easy on your hands because of that little bit of give that they have as you are working your stitches. I have shown you these little tools before. These are floop needles, which is an wire core woven fabric covered double pointed needle, which also make amazing cable needles for socks. Floop stitch markers also make these little elasticated stitch markers, which I find very useful in sock knitting because they are small and flexible and light, but you can see them easily because of this metallic bead. Tristan, these have become some of my favorite tools. Thank you. These shorter DPNs are really lovely for knitting the thumbs on mittens, especially if you are adventurous enough to knit socks with toes on them or gloves with fingers. 4-inch needles would be your friend. This thumble. Oh dear. Okay, let's have a sip of tea. Wow, that's warm. This thimble is in here because when I was using the Hiya Sharps, I have a set of DPNs and the 9-inch so that I have the DPNs to knit the toe up or to do the toe decreases on a cuff down. But inevitably, I kept stabbing my finger. And so I grabbed this little thimble from my advent calendar and it just saved my finger, because if I was tempted to push on the needle, this helped out a lot. Sweet scissors. Little sticky tabs to mark your place on your pattern. Measuring tape. This is one of the funnest little tools my sister gave me. It's a phone holder or iPad holder. If you are like me, you will often put on a knitting podcast or an ASMR video or some kind of beautiful atmosphere video to knit by. And this holds my phone while I'm knitting. little stitch markers, but they are perfect for sock needles. I got mine from Knitbug Val's website, and I love them. And isn't knitting always better when you have a sweet project keeper on it to mark how much progress you've made each time you have sat down to work on your socks or any knitting? This container has my other flexi flips in it. I have a set of bamboo flexi flips and a set of metal flexi flips in here. But sadly, the bamboo flexi flip number 3 in this set snapped after I had finished the cuff on the first sock I was knitting with them. So I learned that even on flexi flips, I should not have bamboo needles. Sometimes when you're knitting for someone you love and they have a particular hobby. Oh my goodness, I apologize. Oh goodness. There we go. This little Lego head obviously is for when I knit socks in Lego themed colors or when I'm knitting socks for my master builders in my house. It actually belongs to my sons, but they don't mind if I borrow it to knit a pair of socks out of. So sometimes it's fun to think outside of the box for project bags and or project keepers per se. The last thing I'm going to do is open up one of my WIPS. This is the Birds and Buds sock, a pattern by Jennifer Rundhog, who is the Driftless Knitter, both on YouTube and on Ravelry. She designed this delicate pattern, texture pattern that is easy to do, very easy to memorize, and really quite satisfying to work up because you just keep saying, just one more repeat. I'll just do one more repeat. Oh, I'm almost there. I should just do one more repeat. And before you know it, you have a sock. This yarn is from Molly of the Homespun House. I know, you're all shocked, aren't you? This is the May Patreon yarn set. Hubba bubba. I think I can show the front of Jennifer's pattern. That would be okay. And as proof of my serious case of second sock syndrome, I have 2 more pairs of Birds and Buds socks in my basket, all of which have one sock completed and the other awaiting to be cast on. This is also my go-to pattern if I know I'm going to be traveling, to cast on this pattern because it's that easy. Many people cast on a vanilla sock so that they don't have to worry about any patterning or charts while they are sightseeing or visiting with family and friends. But I find that this pattern is that easy and it is interesting. So therefore, I have cast on a few. Well, my friends, that is all I have planned for Owl Post number 9. It will be a short one this week, possibly, or maybe I did just ramble on for 40 minutes and not realize it. I hope that you're well, and I really hope that you've been getting some time in on whatever creative endeavor fills your cup. I will see you again soon. I still have to record the video of the contents of that wool cabinet, which I had already said I would have done, so I should really get on that. Anyways, have a really, really good week.